T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
How about that? Cowabunga, baby. Welcome to a brand new week on the RP Show. Yeah. We're coming at you on the Game Plus TV network. It's a brand new week. Glad to see that you survived the weekend. Various other platforms bringing you the program today as well. YouTube Live Podcast, 1700 AM Mission Radio. We've got a Canadian Football Hall of Famer in our midst. Well, in hour two, Ray Elgaard will be joining us from Las Vegas, where Monday Night Football will be played tonight. The Raiders and my Dallas Cowboys. We have another Hall of Famer in our midst, Mitchell Scruffy Blair, who looks bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today. How you doing, Scruffy?
I'm good, partner. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Are you ready to have some fun for the next 40 minutes?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're jumping right into this, everybody. This is what we do, the Quick Six Show topics here on the RP Show. The big story, Scruffy, this is the Canadian hour of the program here on Game Plus. We're talking about the Grey Cup. The Saskatchewan Roughriders built a 22-7 lead and then hung on to defeat the Montreal Alouettes 25-17 in Sunday's 112th Grey Cup in Winnipeg. Saskatchewan quarterback Trevor Harris was named game MVP. Riders defend the TSN turning point, as you, I'm sure, will agree. Rough Riders defender Marcus Sayles recovered an Alouettes fumble at the Saskatchewan goal line, which would have tied the game had they scored with a two-point convert. And then they marched the ball the other way, pretty much ran out the clock, and the Riders win the game. Cue pandemonium in the Wheat Province. It's fun to see my friends and family spilling out onto the Green Mile on Albert Street. The Rough Riders have won the Grey Cup. Mitchell, how do you feel about the game and how it all went down?
It wasn't the best Grey Cup game we've ever seen. It wasn't the worst Grey Cup game we've ever seen. But it was an entertaining contest. It was one that the Alouettes made a game of in the fourth quarter. And what an unfortunate set of events for Shea Patterson and the Montreal Alouettes. But credit to Von Campbell, the ex-Regina Ram, with getting the punch out. And the Riders win. They did exactly what I thought they would do in this game. They kept feeding the ball to A.J. Ouellette, and A.J. Ouellette was not going to be denied on this night. And you saw the end story. And, it's a great day to live in the Wheat Province, as you call it, Roddy, because there are celebrations. I'm guessing there's a lot of people this morning that are either very bleary-eyed at work or they may be missing work altogether.
Yeah, I like wonderful assessment, Scruffy, by the way. It's like, of all the Grey Cups, that was one of them. But the Rider fans and the Riders are happy because it was their 5th championship ever. And listen, we're opening the phones early, 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. It's funny you bring up Shea Patterson, the Montreal backup quarterback, the short yardage guy who fumbled. Paul is watching in Winnipeg. And he writes in, he says, good, blessed morning, Rod and Scruffy. The agony of defeat can be crushing for some teams. I'm hoping that young man who fumbled for Montreal will not let this define his career. To be honest, Mitch, not a lot of people are talking about that. We all watched the game. You saw him. He looked up at the screen. He gave up. Oh, my God, man. If you talk about wanting to jump in a hole and hide. Oh, my God.
His
go ahead.
First fumble as a professional.
Did you ever interview him?
Yes, I think once when he was here.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm assuming he's a good guy. He played for the Roughriders, but it's Grey Cup lore, dude. I mean, Mike Abou-Meshrik was with us on Thursday. He's like, how do I break down a game when these specific games come down to a 13th man or a pulled hamstring? Here's this. You don't think that's going to happen? The fumble on the dang goal line?
Yeah, you never know what type of play is going to happen in the big game or in any game. You know, I thought the Alouettes were done when the Riders took a big lead, and then all of a sudden Brett Lowther misses a field goal, and it was like, oh no, are they going to end up gassing this? And I'm guessing the happiest guy at Princess Auto Stadium was Brett Lowther when Marcus Sayles recovered that fumble. Give Davis Alexander a lot of credit because I thought, like a lot of other people did, that Jason Moss should have pulled the pin on Davis Alexander because it was pretty evident early on that hamstring was not 100%. I thought that maybe they should have went to McLeod Bethel Thompson, but Jason Moss said, no, I'm going to take this guy who's brought us to the dance, and I'm going to run him out there. And what Davis Alexander did last night was fantastic. He wasn't 100%. He played on one leg. And if that Hail Mary connects at the end or if Shea Patterson doesn't fumble, Rider fans might not be as happy as they are today. But we all know what happened. That's the great thing. That's the great thing about having a quarterback as your head coach. In that instance, Jason Moss, he's not coming out. Jason Moss made the right call on Davis Alexander. Brooke writes in from Airdrie. He says, it's a great day. Riders are Grey Cup champions. Roddy, today's show will be amazing because Rider Nation is on cloud 9. Go Riders, signed Brooke in Airdrie with a green heart. So, yeah, we've got a lot to unpack today. We also have NFL Week 11 to get to. The NHL from the weekend, the NHL tonight, maybe a little NBA as well. Oh, the poll question is MGK, Machine Gun Kelly. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. They sponsor our poll every day, Elite Speakers Bureau. Did you like the halftime performance by Machine Gun Kelly? It's a yes for me, dog, and 71% of respondents agree. How about you? I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I think he was exactly what the CFL wanted to bring. He attracted that younger demographic, and he was great. MGK is not the type of guy I'm going to listen to when I've got my Spotify on, but I thought he was fine.
Yeah. Again, 71% saying, yeah, they liked him. I don't know. Listen, we got a little over a minute. What's the Grey Cup that people keep bringing up the halftime? Shania Twain and the Sled Dogs, and I guess the Skidoos in 2013. I'm always busy at halftime. I'm never really paying attention, but it was the Skidoos in 2013.
You're busy. You're out.
I'm taking a leak.
People while I was doing the halftime show with Phil Andrews in 13. You know what? You bring up the flying snowmobiles. I put it on Twitter last night. Unless you have flying snowmobiles, your halftime show is just not that good. And until they can reduplicate that, that's the way I stay. That was good, 2013. Who was the band? The guy whose lead singer ended up being a sexual predator is in jail? Headley.
Yeah, Headley. Right. That was the halftime that everybody still No, they're not talking about Headley. They're talking about the dueling Skidoos going back. Yeah. It's all good, baby. Okay, we'll be back. We're just getting warm. Yeah, we're just getting warmed up. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back. It is the RP Show, everybody. The text line is open for Western Dodge. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them in Moose Jaw or online at westerndodge.ca. The text line's humming. They're also watching on YouTube. Scruffy, Kevin the Medium chiming in. He had a great time from the Hughes Sports podcast at the Grey Cup. He says it was the first turnover for Montreal inside the red zone this year. That didn't cost them the game. It was the 3 interceptions. It was probably the worst game Montreal played all year, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they gave the game away, even though they kind of did. I mean, Saskatchewan was the best team all year. The best team won. But those are the tough games to lose, Mitch. You said yourself, who cares if it's Grey Cup or like any game? Those are tough ones to go home from when you know you didn't play your best. They were far from their best, the Montreal Alouettes.
Oh, I agree. And again, Davis Alexander had a bad day. I don't know enough because I'm not a doctor, but Davis Alexander on 2 of the 3 interceptions, and we won't talk about the one at the end of the first half, but it just looked like maybe he didn't get enough oomph on the football, and I just wonder if that's because the leg just wasn't strong enough to allow him to do that. I'm going to take nothing away from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They deserve to win. They were the best team all season. But how much does that game change if Davis Alexander is at 100%? I still don't know if they win the football game, and it may have ended the same way, but that's just a question we'll never know the answer to.
Sure, there was some odd calls, and Corey Mace was rightfully mad about an unnecessary roughness 15-yarder that wasn't a penalty. It's just that's a game. Right? And Montreal can sit for 6 months and think about all these questions. By the way, Rider fan writes in, he says, "Good morning, Rod and Harley. Congratulations, Riders. Did you change your name to Harley over the weekend?"
Apparently I must have somewhere down the road. I didn't get you the memo, I guess.
He actually corrected himself and said, "Hey, Scruffy, good to see you as well. But I think I might refer to you as Harley for a while anyway, at least,
all right,
at least
Rodney.
until the..." Hey, Harley, it's Rod and Harley here on the RP Show today. Oh, I will say this, though. I'm happy, very happy for the Rough Riders and their fans, obviously. I said earlier, seeing my family, friends down on the Green Mile. It's different there. It's just different there in terms of their love of the team. What I was thinking about yesterday, and I don't know about you, when it was over, actually on the Grey Cup Sunday itself, I was thinking about Chris Zarka, Scott Schultz, Ken Austin, Darian Durant, Corey Chamberlain. Those were my guys. I sit back and think, we had our time. We had a great time, but it's now their time, and good for them. And then now I'm thinking about Mitch Picton and Mark Mueller and Corey Mace and Brett Wather. I'm just happy for those guys. We couldn't have it forever, No,
you're right. And I couldn't agree with you more, Rod. Obviously you and I were very close to the 2013 team because we were both part of the broadcast in that year. And you talk about guys like Durant and Scott Schultz and, Luke Mullender, our good friend, and Rob Bagg. Those are just 4 guys right off the top of my head. Weston Dressler, Durant. I don't go to practice every day now because I have no reason to. But there are guys still from 13 to 25 and guys that I've had a chance to watch play. Mitch Picton, Jackson Ford. I know Mark Mueller very well. I know Jeremy O'Day very well. Obviously Rob Vanstone, a good friend of ours that now works for the team. Very happy for these guys. I'm happy for all of them. But, I don't know Trevor Harris. I don't know A.J. Willett. I don't know Yoshi Hardrick. I'm happy for them, but it's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah, of course. And listen, oh man, we got great stuff coming in here. 902-518-3033. The rest of the country is going to have to put up with the Rider Nation celebrating here today, and they should. So that's fine. If you don't like it, turn it off. Because I'm going to read these. Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, "Hi, Reverend Rod. Listening to the show just as we cross the border into Saskatchewan. An epic Sasky rally and a mammoth Grey Cup Championship. 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo! For Rider Nation." Signed, Vintage Sasko. I'll get Ray Elgaard coming up in hour 2, and I do want to get to NFL Week 11 and NHL Mitch if you're so inclined, but I think you're enjoying this as much as I am. I'm trying to get to as much of this as possible. I'll get to the commissioner being booed. Hang on, everybody. Everybody's all horny today, and I get it. But Wayne in BC writes in, he says, Trevor Harris was very efficient at 85.2% passing percentage. I think his, what do you call it, QEF or QF, whatever it is, was 119.
QBR?
QBR was 119.5. He was a worthy MVP of the game. I was thinking a little bit of Ouellette because he was unstoppable, but he didn't hit 100 yards. Trevor hit 300 passing. But here's the thing about Trevor Harris. I saw this post from the CFL with Trevor with the Grey Cup, and it said, what are they going to say now, Trevor? And, and then the retirement talk. Why would he walk away? It was one of the first stories I saw online today. Trevor Harris contemplating retirement. No, he's not. Why? Why would you walk away?
Who said that?
No, stupid writers that don't know anything. It's like,
none
of these guys. Where's he going to find a job that's going to pay him $500,000 a year playing a freaking game? He's not.
What did Trevor Harris say to James Duthie on stage last night? He's somewhere between retirement and the peak of his career. Trevor Harris isn't retiring. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised, Rod, if Trevor Harris, before the week is over, and the football team has announced that he's signed another 1 year or maybe a 2-year deal. Probably one because of his age. But I'm convinced that Trevor Harris is back as the quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
This has just screwed everything up because the Mount Rushmore fit very nicely for Ryder. We had the Eagle Keys, John Gregory, Ken Austin, Corey Chapman, 4 faces. Fine. Now we got 5 with Mace. And we had Lancaster.
That's all right.
And I'm joking. I'm saying it somewhat facetiously. But Trevor Harris goes from the club of the Dan Marinos and the Kevin Glenns and the great players that have never won to the club of the winners. And that's a very nice place to be. So yeah, what are they going to say? He's a champion. That's what they're going to say. So it's probably the guy that I'm the happiest for because he's such a great guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. As I said, I don't know him very well. I've talked to him a couple of times. I know you're probably going to talk. Well, I know you are because you've got an event coming up in Saskatchewan with him. But everything I've heard about Corey Mace is what a good guy he is.
So, okay, here we go. Picture Jim Carrey, me, myself. Oh, boy, here we go. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and says, the commissioner was probably standing too close to Carney. Malik Carney or Mark Carney? By the way, are they related? We're talking about the commissioner being booed, and I'll probably say some things that'll get me flamed here today, but that's not new. I was surprised they booed Commissioner Stuart Johnston. I am and I'm not. But it caught me off guard when he came out to present the Grey Cup and he was booed.
Really?
How about you?
It catches you off guard when Gary Bettman comes out to present the Stanley Cup and gets
that
booed?
happens every year. It's been going on for 30
Roger
years.
Goodell presents the Super Bowl trophy?
No. Not to the CFL commissioner, it doesn't.
I believe Randy Ambrosie's been booed before.
Mark Cohan has not.
No, I'll give you that one. And who's kidding who? I think some of the people that were booing last night were those from Winnipeg who just did not want to see the Riders win in their stadium. I think a lot of people are making a lot too much of that. Oh, he got booed because of the rules. I don't think so. A little bit, yes, but not to the extent that you think it is.
I booed Jeffrey Orridge at the 2015 Grey Cup.
I booed Jeffrey Orridge when he did a show with us at the Brew House in Regina.
I don't know if I did or not. I'm just saying it because it sounds good. But the business with these fans, just so you know, I'm not putting up with this for the next 6 months. People want to beat it square, go ahead. Not on this show. But with these rules, I saw Peter Diakowski, who, by the way, I love. He's one of the funniest guys alive. He's petitioning the prime minister to block the rule changes. I'm not sure if he's being serious or not. Like, the one thing, do the fans own the league or not? Like,
no.
You and I, you are, no, they don't.
No.
They don't.
Nope.
That's kind of what I'm saying is going to piss people off, but it's not their league as much as they want to think that it is. No league belongs to the fans. They don't. I'm sorry to say, it belongs to the owners. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. Roddy, the amount of fans that have been disgusted with these rule changes, how many of these fans are going to their team's games? Because with the amount of disgust that we have seen, if you were going to your team's games and supporting your games, we would be seeing sold-out crowds at every stadium. But apparently that's not happening. And these people that are content with watching the CFL bleed out, like, good on you, but tell me why 7 of 9 teams are losing money. Tell me why people aren't going to games. And yes, I saw that there was an attendance rise this year. Well, that's probably because Amar Doman did a great job in Vancouver. Every Winnipeg game was sold out. Like, I'm sorry, kids. If you want the CFL to bleed out, then we'll just keep doing what we've been doing for the last so many years. We need to evolve. We need to change, much like the NHL did, much like Major League Baseball did, much like the NFL has. If you can't get over that, then yeah, stop watching the game.
From the audience, Troy is watching in Toronto. He says, are the boos an indication of the diehards from across the country being at the game, or is the overall feeling of the fans reflective in the boos? Well, CFL fans, if the CFL stays stagnant, it dies. I see what he's saying. The people in the stadium, are they reflective of the fans across the country? I get the sense that they are. Like, we saw the Angus Reid poll. 74% of people that identify as CFL fans are against the rule changes. So I think the people booing Stuart Johnston are reflective of fans across the country.
74% of the 16% that are watching the CFL carefully.
I know, but that's a tough one. I don't want to be in Stuart Johnston's shoes, by the way. And our business manager, Joe Gunnis, did have a meeting with the commissioner on Friday, and he just said, hey, we're on your side. He's like, I know. Do you not think that this caught him off guard, man? His Roddy, state of the league was him walking it back.
Rod, when they did the hash marks thing, people went up in arms about it.
Yeah.
People just don't like change. Like, can we let this thing play out a little bit?
They're taking it a little far, in my opinion. But anyways, Colin in Ottawa.
Here's an example.
Okay.
If I've got a minute.
Sure.
You and I both do Western Canadian Baseball League games. There were a lot of people this year that said, boy, it would be nice if this league, I don't know what it was like in Moose Jaw for you, but I had a lot of people in Regina saying, boy, it would be nice if the league would institute a pitch clock like what they have in Major League Baseball. I completely agree.
And call it.
And yet when that decision was announced, people went off their mind that watch baseball. You can't do that. Well, we did, and it's better.
Yeah. Well, so hang on. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, congrats to the Rough Riders and fans from a Red Blacks fan. I am especially happy for our former quarterback, Trevor Harris, for getting a championship as a starter. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, says, congrats, Rider Nation. I'm happy for my friends that are fans of the green and white, as well as Jamarcus Hardrick, whose season got cut short last year, as well as former Bombers Sales and Andrew Harris. Carlos in Indianapolis says that early rouge impacted the game quite a bit, too. That particular rouge would stay in the game based on the new rule changes, just so everybody knows. That's not going anywhere. Yeah, nope. But the missed field goal return would have gone bye-bye, which didn't really mean anything. It didn't add up to any points or not. But anyways, we're just getting rolling. I appreciate everybody joining us on this Monday. We'll be right back. More with Scruffy. Ray Elgaard coming up at hour 2 to talk Grey Cup and Vegas sports. Monday Night Football coming to Allegiant Stadium. We'll be back in a moment here on the Game Plus Television Network.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band. Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. Yeah, let's keep it simple. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour one of the RP Show, brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. I've got NFL. I'd like to get to NHL from the weekend, NHL tonight. The Raptors are playing tonight, but I'll hold off because you know what? It's the day after Grey Cup. Scruffy is with me, but what I will say is this. I'm not doing this all winter, so get it off your chest now because I'm not doing it all winter. For instance, Mitch, Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, during his league address at Grey Cup, the commissioner said the CFL is not planning for U.S. expansion and talked about possible expansion to Quebec City for a 10th franchise. If that's the case, why remove the 55-yard line? You said it, Kirk. Not me. But you're right. That state of the league on Friday added up to all a bunch of damage control as far as I'm concerned, because he's right. Why would you shorten the length of the field if you're not going to stadiums where they wouldn't fit? Why would you do it? And what rules need to be changed based on the wild playoff games that we had? They don't. So don't tell me they're not expanding to the States. Give me a break.
I just wonder, there are soccer stadiums in Halifax. There's a soccer stadium in Montreal that a CFL field would not fit in right now. If you can fit a team in Halifax and get a 10th team in there, go for it. I don't know what the dimensions are of the stadium in Victoria where the Lions played, or the Apple Bowl in Kelowna. But if you can fit a shrinked CFL field in there, why wouldn't you do it? Now, Stuart Johnston, the one thing that Stuart Johnston said in that thing is that he said, like, we want a 10th team. I think the CFL, if they're going to be a bigger player on the landscape, we need to look bigger and think 10, 11, 12 teams. And I don't think that's going to happen because I just don't think there's enough corporate pockets there that are interested in the CFL. I applaud Stuart Johnston for saying he wants to get a new season-long fantasy game. But, Roddy, the reality is right now there's still a 9-team league. How do you do that, especially in weeks when you have only 6 teams playing? I think 90% of us that are watching this right now play NFL fantasy football, and we know it's a lot easier to pick the player universe, even when teams are on buys, because there are so many teams. I'm going to be very interested to see what the new fantasy football is compared to what they had. I just think that everything that Stuart Johnston is doing here, we need a 10th team, maybe an 11th team, maybe a 12th team, but I just don't see that happening within the next 5-10 years.
Well, what I will tell you, I don't know very much, but what I do know is I wouldn't want to be Stuart Johnston. I think he got a real eye-opener at this Grey Cup with the comments that were being made, him being booed. It is all related to the rules. This same Troy in Toronto watching says it is football, not life or death. What is wrong with changing the rules? The CFL needs revenue. And how do they do that? Expansion, TV contracts. And where does that come from? People, the USA. Troy, stop making sense. It's too early in the week to make sense. Okay? They're not listening to me. So, yeah, go ahead.
Wait until the new TV contract is announced. People will go off their minds because you know they're not going to like it. Not everybody will. And what are you going to do if TSN Plus gets involved in, hey, Friday Night Football, you don't have to subscribe to TSN Plus. People will lose their mind. And I think that could happen.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he says, you are reading too much into these changes, Rod. No, I'm not. I think the 74% of CFL fans that are pissed off about the changes are reading too much into the rule changes. Troy just said it. What's the big deal? Mitchell said they're changing the Saskatchewan license plate to welcome to Saskatchewan. What are we bitching about today? It's booing the commissioner and being upset about the rules has become the thing to do. In my mind. I mean, I feel like they announced these tweaks a month ago thinking they were just little tweaks. All of a sudden, you have people threatening to cancel their season tickets. And Justin Dunk, of all people... They're
not doing that.
But they're threatening it. And Justin Dunk tweeting...
Okay, good. I'm threatening
Can I finish?
To do this too. You
Can I finish?
Right back doing it.
Justin Dunk tweeting a GIF of a tank rolling down the street saying, Stuart Johnston rolling into his State of the Union League... that he needs an armored vehicle to go in. Justin Dunk's joking about that. So I'm making too much about the rule changes? For real? So I'll say it again. They go into this offseason. It's in my commentary today at rodpedersen.com and on Saskatchewan Radio where I said, hey, it was a Grey Cup that I'm sure the CFL was proud of. Sold out. I'm sure the ratings will be great. It all came across great, although the TSN broadcast was glitchy and it sucked.
Yeah, that was bad.
I thought it was a CBS Sports Network thing watching it down here in the States. Apparently, you all had that all across Canada, too. Yep. But in the case of Stuart Johnston, I wouldn't want to be him today. I think he woke up today going, what do we do next? He's a bright guy, but I don't know what he does next. The damage control will continue for a while. And I'll also say this. I talked to a lot of people that were there, Mitch, that said, oh, the Grey Cup Festival was amazing. The Bombers are making money left and right. Money, money, money. No freebies. Okay, great. It's like the CFL's fine. I'm like, guys, this isn't the Craven Country Jamboree where you can only make money in a week. This is a pro football league. You should be making money every week. Okay? Don't come away from Grey Cup saying, oh, because there's lineups to get into Ryderville, everything's all great. Because it's not.
No, I if that's the case, Rod, then when the Grey Cup is in Toronto, as it was a couple of years ago, the Argos are the least attended team in the CFL, but does that make everything great in Toronto because the Grey Cup was there? No.
There are those that would think that it does.
I know.
Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, the better team won. Turnovers were key to victory. Wayne in BC writes in, he says, I'm happy to hear that there's going to be a new CFL app and team apps. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm assuming that will help sell tickets. I feel like it's too late, frankly, to get into anything else here with you, Mitch, other than I will say this, point two, Jalen Hurts scored the only touchdown for the Eagles in a 16-9 NFL victory over the visiting Detroit Lions on Sunday night. Week 11 was wild, and Cameron Kinchins had two of the Rams, 4 picks. Matthew Stafford threw two touchdown passes, and the Rams held on to beat your visiting Seahawks 21-19 yesterday for their 5th consecutive victory. All of a sudden, I don't know if you've seen any coverage today, what you get up there, but here in the States, it's Sam Darnold. Is he cooked? Is he done?
I think Ernest Jones, the Seahawks linebacker, basically put it the best. And I also think that since I started talking to you this morning, I think Sam Darnold has thrown 2 more interceptions.
Oh, he was that bad, was he?
Watch yesterday. That was not a pretty watch yesterday, Roddy.
What time was that game?
Not a pretty. And they were still, if it wasn't for a punt, maybe the best punt I have ever seen, Seattle might have won that football game yesterday.
Well, what did I see? 5 games went down to the last minute in the NFL. And
something like that.
And the Grey Cup game itself was obviously fantastic too. It was a great day of football. For the people that only follow the CFL, Jeff the Stamps fan, I feel like, what are you going to watch now for the next 6 months? For me, it's very hard. You've known me a long time to concentrate on more than one thing. I can't. I did watch the Bills and Bucks. Hell of a game. And then the Grey Cup I watched. But the rest of the NFL, I waited until this morning to sort it all out. Baseball's now done. CFL is now done. To me, we're settling into the groove. NHL, NFL. How do you feel that CFL's done?
Football, as we get the Vanier Cup combatants going. There were some great games in U.S. college football. Oklahoma, Alabama was outstanding. Michigan and Northwestern at Wrigley Field was tremendous. And then you saw your games yesterday, both NFL and CFL. A lot of product to be entertained with this weekend, Roddy. You just had to find it.
Absolutely. And this upcoming weekend, it's the Montreal Carabins against the Saskatchewan Huskies, right, at Mosaic Stadium. Don't even get me going on the poor people that tried to watch the Mitchell Bowl, the one named after you, by the way. I'm shocked you weren't there, the Mitchell Bowl. But as a guy said to me, what could CBC possibly have been airing on a Saturday afternoon that they couldn't put these 2 National University semifinals on, that they had to go to CBC Gem, which they hadn't downloaded for years, and couldn't get it to work. But again, that's the state of, unfortunately, sports play-by-play in Canada. Okay, Mitch, thanks.
I joked last night, Grey Cup gets MGK for the halftime show. What's the Vanier Cup going to get?
Very good. Do we know? Text me.
I have no idea.
We'll be back with a sports update viewer takeover right after this.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Scruffy's gone, but we're still here. And I'm still asking you, does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. He'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. And the Junior Hockey Report, we do it every day for our friends at the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw, the Canadian Hockey League, together with the Kelowna Rockets and the 2026 Memorial Cup Host Organizing Committee, is excited to announce that ticket packages for the 2026 Memorial Cup are now on sale. Set for May 21st to the 31st in Kelowna, BC. The Memorial Cup remains one of hockey's most celebrated traditions. For more information, you can go to whl.ca or chl.ca. And the Mad Greek Eatery, whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight, downtown Moose Jaw, open till 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. So much to get to. I'll say it again. I feel like I did trigger some people here by saying this will not be the on-air bitch fest every day, all winter about the CFL rules. It just won't. So get it out today, and then I'm done with it. You can go somewhere else. I'm pretty sure there ain't anywhere else. And I don't want to talk about it past today. Norm Fong, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, writes in. He says, hey, Rod, on the Western Dodge text line. He says, Rod, I think the new commissioner is blowing smoke up our butts with his reasoning for making the field smaller. Signed, Fongo. I'm pretty sure he is. Me too. So, again, they can figure it out. That's why I said I wouldn't want to be this guy. Stuart Johnston. I don't know what they're doing. So, Kristen in Winnipeg writes in regarding what will CFL fans be watching for the next 6 months. She says the great game of curling is what us CFL fans will be tuning into over the winter months. You know, it's funny you say that. It is The roaring game is fantastic. It's kind of wild, too. Darren Moose DuPont, who I've been trying to get a hold of all morning, but he's such a busy guy. He was just down in Lake Tahoe at the Grand Slam of Curling. He was the executive producer of those broadcasts. And Jared Allen, the Hall of Fame defensive lineman from the Minnesota Vikings, did you know that he's on Team USA, the curling team, and has been for quite a while? Darren said they had an incident in Lake Tahoe with Jared Allen because, as you can imagine, he's a big guy. And he's sweeping, and he snapped his broom in half and went down on the ice and, impaled himself. And it was like a big to-do. But nobody knew because it was curling. Nothing wrong with that. It's just it went on there, and nobody noticed. It wasn't a big deal. Jay writes in, like I said, today's the day to get this all off your chest. Because after today, we move on. Similar to Paul Maurice, when Alexander Barkov ripped up his knee in practice and went down for the rest of the regular season. Paul Maurice goes, we can complain about it today, cry today, but after today, no. Jay writes in and says, I don't know what Commissioner Johnston was supposed to say to change everyone's minds in a prepared statement. He did commit to a 10th team in Canada, or a want for it, and promised 3-down football. I think the commissioner was quite lucky that he was allowed to walk back his comments from a month ago, or wiggle off the hook, if you will. Most leaders aren't allowed the platitude to do that. Stuart Johnston's a good guy. Nobody really wants to piss off the commissioner. My point on that was, he goes, I misspoke when I said there are no guarantees. That's how I speak to my kids. Now, I should have said, it'll be 3 downs as long as I'm commissioner. A lot of guys don't get that opportunity. He's finding out fast that being the commissioner of a pro sports league or a public job like that isn't the same as being the president of Bell or TSN. So, yeah, we all, I would hope, have the opportunity to live and learn from our mistakes. I would hope. Unless you are a problem gambler in pro sports or college sports. That's a topic for another time. Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, I'm in the huge minority here, but I can't wait to watch games with the new rules to see what it's like. I'm excited for the change until I see it blowing up. I apologize. A lot of questions have come in here for Scruffy, and he's now gone. I'm with that whole thing. If you're not going to expand to the U.S., which I'm told that is the ultimate plan, why would you make these field size changes? Why would you do that? Why would you change anything? Because the game is so great. We just saw it all through the playoffs. That's not the reason the rules are not the reason the CFL's popularity is at an all-time low, which it is. Don't get pissed off at me. I'll put it in my newsletter, I think, next weekend, what I would do, which nobody asked, other than the fans. Anyways, the sports update's brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Our Grey Cup parade is set for Tuesday afternoon in Regina after the Saskatchewan Roughriders beat Montreal in the Grey Cup. The CFL team will be welcomed back today at Mosaic Stadium. Trevor Harris threw for 302 yards to lead the Roughies to a 25-17 win over the Alouettes Sunday night in Winnipeg. Why did I just say Roughies? Because it says Rough Riders in the script. I hate the term Roughies. Saturday night, I was at the Florida Panthers game. And if I had it, my bag that I take to the Panthers games is a Grey Cup bag that I got from Vancouver. Thank you, CFL. Grey Cup last year. 2 NHL scouts were sitting at the next table where we eat before the game. Guy goes, oh, the Grey Cup. I saw, yeah. I said, old habits die hard. He goes, the Roughies are in it. I'm like, yeah, they are. These guys knew. He was Canadian. The guy he was with was from Boston. I could just tell by his accent. But, oh, yeah, they all follow. They had white hair. But we had a wonderful discussion about the Grey Cup. Funny how what you're wearing can spark a conversation. I believe icebreakers are the name for that. 3 Canadian NHL teams are in action tonight, and they're all on the road. Edmonton faces Buffalo. Vancouver meets Florida here in Sunrise. And Montreal is at Columbus. The Canadiens have dropped 5 of their last 6 games. By the way, I want to get into more NHL talk next hour as we go to air in Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And, of course, we're anchored in Toronto. You might be surprised to know who the hottest teams in the NHL are right now based on their last 10 games. I was doing a little studying on that today. But just hang on. Not done yet. The Toronto Raptors are back home tonight after a successful 5-game roadie. Toronto won 4 of 5 away from home to move into second place in the NBA's Atlantic Division standings. Raps will entertain the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Toronto has won 7 of their last 8. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. We didn't get to any NFL this hour. Well, very little. There'll be far more next hour. This has virtually been all CFL this first hour. It's the day after the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan won. You're welcome. Got a news release from the National Football League today. The NFL's Thanksgiving Day games will deliver 3 cannot-miss halftime performances by acclaimed artists Post Malone, Jack White, and Lil Jon. I'll get into that more next hour in terms of what games they're playing and so forth. But what I will also tell you is this. So I'm announcing officially Florida high school football for the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs. This is their helmet over my shoulder that they gave me. Coach DeBuck is probably watching right now. Walked me into the locker room prior to Friday night's playoff game. And he said, guys, meet Rod, the new voice of the Chiefs. I'm like, I am? Okay. And I really like doing it. I could tell you a couple stories about that night, which I will. But the next night, I go into the Panthers press box. Who were they playing Saturday? Sunday. It was against Tampa. Saturday against Tampa. Sorry. Busy weekend. And one of the security guys, Williams, like, you're doing high school football too? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's cool. Yes, it is. I think it is. And to be clear, this is public address announcing, but to me, I like doing it all. I can do it all. The script I got from the Florida High Schools Athletic Association is this thick. Please stand as we honor America with a playing of the national anthem. I enjoy this stuff. Producer Corey just said in my ear he loves that kind of copy too. Please stand while we honor America. It's fun. The place was sold out. Oh, and I'm learning fast because it was one of the penalties was delay a game on the offense. I turned to the guys, retired NFL, college, and high school officials in the booth. They're too old to be on the field, which, like, my age. And I said, yeah, in Canada, we call that the time count violation. The what? So, I mean, this whole rules theme can go very deep. It is a large rabbit hole. Ray Elgaard joins us next hour. Just so you know, it's segment 2 of hour 2. Hall of Famer from the Canadian Football League, Las Vegas resident. We'll be talking about the Grey Cup. We'll be talking about Monday Night Football tonight, Raiders and Cowboys in Vegas, and the rule changes. I'm very excited to get Ray's take on that. So this has been fun. So there will be some CFL talk next hour. You don't bring Ray Elgaard on and not talk about it. But as far as most of the bitching, I hope that's behind us. And certainly after today, it will be. We'll be back after this brief pause, everybody. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Welcome inside the RP Show and to a brand new week, everybody. It's a special one. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why right now. It's one of those days where here on the Game Plus Television Network, but also the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, worlds are colliding, Jerry. Worlds are colliding. You got me, that knob, there, the RP Show host for most of the program here, but also coming up in our interview segment today, Ray Elgaard, a Las Vegas resident, a Canadian Football Hall of Famer, and Grey Cup champion, because here's the reason. I talked about this last week. I'm sitting here on a Wednesday night in South Florida, minding my own business, and my phone goes off with a text message from said Ray Elgaard, three-time winner of the Shinley Award as the most outstanding Canadian in the Canadian Football League. And he goes, it's a photo of his television in his living room, and he goes, "Why are you in my living room?" With my mug on his TV. And I said, "I told you we're coming to television in Las Vegas daily a couple of months ago." And I said, "We got to get you on. And how about Monday, because we'll recap the Grey Cup and talk about Las Vegas sports, because he lives there and he's a Canadian. So we're on Game Plus TV across Canada. We're across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And here we go. Let's get down to business. We've changed up the Quick Six show topics a little bit from what people saw in hour one, because it's a big day. Two struggling teams will meet in tonight's lone game on the schedule. Monday Night Football features my 3-5-1 Dallas Cowboys visiting the 2-7 Raiders in Las Vegas. Raiders have lost 3 in a row. They're only 1-3 at home. The Cowboys have lost 2 straight and are 1-4 on the road. And I'll just sit here and, well, there's another synergy thing. Worlds colliding, Jerry. My NFL teams visiting the city which carries our show in Nevada. And it's not a sexy matchup. Cowboys going in 3-5-1. Raiders 2-7. I mean, the bettors that watch this show would know that the Cowboys are favored by 3.5 points. What do we think? I'll say this. This wasn't the kind of production expected out of the Raiders offense when they gave Chip Kelly $6 million to run it. But the offensive coordinator also likely didn't expect to try to piece together a unit beset by injuries, which has happened this year. So even though the offensive numbers are far from pretty, how much of that falls on Chip Kelly is difficult to tell. For his part, Kelly isn't making any excuses, though, as the Raiders go into tonight's game and through 10 weeks, ranked 30th in the NFL in total yards, 29th in rushing, and 31st in scoring. The Cowboys feel that they still have a sniff. Yeah, it should be a good game for sure. And to be honest, we had Johnny Avello on the air last week from DraftKings Sportsbook in Las Vegas. I said, are the Cowboy Nation going to take over that stadium on Monday night? He's like, no, Rod. I think the Raider Nation will show out in this. Who knows? We're all going to be watching on ESPN Monday Night Football. Let's put it that way. I've been, as a Cowboys fan, I've seen them at home and on the road and see how we, being Cowboys fans, take over the stadiums. I said a stat. Dak Prescott is something like 25-6 in primetime games. For the Cowboys fans that are watching, and that shout out to you, Dallas, who I know watches every day. What do you expect out of this game tonight? I think it's a Cowboys victory. The question is by how much? 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. We do have breaking news from the NFL today. The NFL's Thanksgiving Day games will deliver 3 cannot-miss halftime performances by acclaimed artists Post Malone, Jack White, and Lil Jon. On Thursday, November 27th, electrifying musician and Detroit native Jack White will perform during the Lions Thanksgiving halftime show powered by Verizon when the Lions take on the Green Bay Packers at 1 p.m. on Fox. Global superstar Post Malone will take the stage at halftime of the Cowboys game versus the Kansas City Chiefs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS, which, by the way, I do like Post Malone a lot. His dad ran the concessions, right, at AT&T Stadium. I think he maybe still does. This is like a home game for Post Malone. And Lil Jon will perform live at the Baltimore Ravens game against the Cincinnati Bengals at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And I guess now would be a good time to tell you what our poll question is today, because we are coming off the heels of the Grey Cup. I'm getting to that. The Canadian Football League Championship was waged at a sold-out Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg Sunday night. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, the team for which I broadcast for 20 years, and Ray Elgaard, who's coming up our next guest, played for many years, won the Shenley Award as most outstanding Canadian in the league 3 years, 1988, 1992. They beat the Montreal Alouettes 25-17 last night. And the halftime act was Machine Gun Kelly. I was welded to the idea that the halftime act for the Grey Cup had to be Canadian. Nobody listened. Nobody ever does. So I dropped the sword on that one. It's not my hill to die on. And Machine Gun Kelly, who's from Cleveland, performed the halftime act. And the question is, did you like his performance? For those that watched it on CBS Sports Network in America or TSN and CTV in Canada, 71% of respondents saying they liked it. So I'm not a big enough Machine Gun Kelly fan to look him up and see anything about him other than his girlfriend, whom we all know. But like Post Malone, I went and looked up everything about this guy. Not Machine Gun Kelly, but I enjoyed the halftime show, I think is the point, as I land the plane on that. Well done, CFL, which I'll get to if we have time in this segment, but way more with the Hall of Famer Ray Elgaard coming up next, number 81, which everybody's excited to see what Ray has to say. He's never been known to mince words. Point 3, of the Quick Six Show topics. Kirill Kaprizov scored on a one-timer from the right side on a power play at 4:50 of overtime to give the Minnesota Wild a 3-2 NHL victory over the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. Pavel Dorofeyev and Riley Smith had power play goals for Vegas as they continue this road trip out east. Let's hear from you, Golden Knights Nation, if that's a thing. Are you starting to get worried yet? Going into the year, I had the Golden Knights ranked number 1 in my power rankings, and they right now can't even find the top 5 with a search party. Now, I know there's injuries. You don't have your goalie. I get it. Everybody's panicking right now, which I said earlier, by the way, that you might be surprised at who's the hottest teams in the NHL right now. I'll get to that. Just hang on. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin scored a little over 2 minutes apart in the first period to help the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Nashville Predators 4-0 Sunday early morning to split their NHL's Global Series in Sweden's capital. The Penguins bounced back from a 2-1 loss to the Predators in the opener of the 2-game series on Friday. Steven Stamkos scored the winner for the Preds Friday. So they split the 2 games in Sweden. Now they're coming home. And for the Vancouver Canucks fans, they visit Florida here tonight, and I'll be at the game. Kiefer Sherwood, Linus Karlsson, and Drew O'Connor. I know his aunt. She calls him DOC. Scored in a 140 span in Vancouver's 5-goal third period, and the Canucks overcame an early deficit to beat Tampa Bay 6-2. That was in the Thunderdome in Tampa 24 hours after the Lightning came down here to Sunrise, and they didn't manhandle the Panthers, but they beat them 3-1 with an empty net goal Saturday night. That was a fun weekend of NHL hockey. I don't know how you felt about it. I certainly did. And as I said, as moving forward now, as the big CFL fans that we are, that season's behind us. As of last night, we're going to talk way more hockey. The Golden Knights have invited us to Vegas to do some live shows from out there. I think we might even do them from the rink. So, yeah, I'm very excited about that. But, oh, and by the way, NHL Radio's Scott Laughlin will be coming on tomorrow in the guest spot. Scott Laughlin from the Morning Skate, Sirius XM NHL Radio. I'm very much looking forward to that. But I'll just point this out. For all the people that were hand-wringing, panicking, or planning the Stanley Cup parade route after the first 10, 15 games of the season, you might want to walk this back a little bit. In the past 10 games in the National Hockey League, Colorado and Boston are the hottest teams in the NHL. They've won 8 of their last 10. That's the most wins out of the past 10 games. We're going to track this over the next 10. But hockey insiders that I trust say this segment, game 16 to 30, is where you really find out who your team is. Colorado's, we know, good. They're number 1 overall, but Boston's a surprise. And there are 4 teams that have won 7 of their last 10 games. It's just an interesting, I mean, you can call it an analytic, but it's a stat. It's a fact. The New York Rangers, who got off to their worst home start in franchise history, and by the way, are still on it, but are coincidentally on their hottest road start in franchise history. The New York Rangers, Dallas Stars, LA Kings, and Anaheim Ducks all have 7 wins in their past 10 games. So those are the next hottest teams. Let me say it again. Rangers, Stars, Kings, and Ducks. And if you don't pay attention to that, you're kind of in the minority, to be honest, because that's what the hockey people look at, these kinds of things. Not fantasy stats, not Michigan wraparound goals. No. Who's doing what when it matters? And it's funny, by the way, I was telling this story last hour. I'll tell it again now for the benefit of the people that weren't watching. But Saturday night when I went to the Panthers and Lightning game, I had my backpack. It's from the 2024 Grey Cup in Vancouver. It says that right across the bottom. A couple of NHL scouts were sitting at the next table, and they were like, oh, Grey Cup. I said, yeah, it's this weekend. They're like, yeah. The one guy goes, yeah, the Roughies are in it. They're hockey scouts. They know. They don't miss anything. And we struck up a chat, and I said, hey, you guys might know my dad. Jim Pedersen scouted with the Dallas Stars for 26 years. They're like, Jimmy. Oh, that's going back a long ways. Is it? I didn't feel like Dad was that old. I sure as hell don't think I'm that old, but I guess that's going back a long ways. But it's sad when you realize that you're old. By the way, the program's brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. Ray Elgaard coming up. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, I'm looking forward to Chris Berman's highlights of the Grey Cup on Monday Night Football. Is he still doing that? Is he still on Monday Night Football? The panel that I see, am I crazy? Is Jason, they all seem the same to me. Jason Kelsey, Randy Moss. I don't remember seeing him. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes, and he says, amen for hockey talk. See you tonight, Brent, which is the Kegs slogan. Oh, with regards to our poll question, what did you think of Machine Gun Kelly at halftime of the Grey Cup, or as the French say, the Coupe de Grey? Carlos is watching in Indianapolis. He says, I didn't see the halftime show. I was taking a drunk guy home. Caught the important bits of the game, though. Gotcha. Oh, BW in Edmonton writes in. He says, I saw the Sanders in the NFL highlights. You're talking about Shitter with the Browns. Got into his first NFL game. Looked sharp. Hopefully he gets to start for the Cleveland Browns this season. Oh, by the way, they're going off about this. I said this is the last day that we'll be talking about CFL rule changes for the next 6 months. Not here. Maybe in hour one when we're only on Canadian television, but definitely not here on U.S. TV. But they're still upset about that. And Tony from Cochrane writes in. He says, imagine if Gary, because they're shrinking the field size in the CFL, but they're not telling you why. It's pissing people off. Tony says, imagine if Gary Bettman decided to make all NHL rinks Olympic-sized and all hockey rinks indoor and out had to expand to that. Not happening, I'd say. I think they've wanted to do that, but the reason they don't is because you'd have to eliminate seats, which would take away revenue. Homie, don't play that game. They've talked about it, trust me. I know things. Where are we? Jason writes in from Red Deer. He says, Las Vegas is becoming the big sports destination. Expand and bring back the posse. Well, I'll tell you what. Put me down as the guy that would love to see the CFL return to Las Vegas. They still talk about the CFL in Vegas. And Ray Elgaard, who's coming up next, I'm pretty sure can corroborate that, can confirm. Mike in Winnipeg, watching at Ice Time Sports, says, yes, Chris Berman still does the fastest 3 minutes highlights on Monday Night Football. And Tony in Cochrane confirms. I've actually, for whatever reason, really cut down my pregame and halftime show watching. I'm not sure why. Maybe because there's so many other options. I'm just saying I haven't noticed Chris Berman as much as I used to. By the way, 6 games in the NHL tonight. That was going to be my 4th point. But we don't have time. And also, the Grey Cup is in our Quick 6 show topics as well. But we'll do that next. With the Hall of Famer, Ray Elgaard, number 81. We'll talk about Vegas sports with him, with Monday Night Football going to be played tonight in Allegiant Stadium. And the Golden Knights struggling a little bit on the road. So we've got a lot to get to with the Hall of Famer when we come back. We are live on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network all across Nevada and across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network, plus YouTube, podcast, and 1700 Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody, on the Game Plus TV Network and the State Sports and Entertainment Network. It's always a treat to chat with Ray Elgaard, a Hall of Famer in every way. 16 seasons with the 14 seasons with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Grey Cup Champion, 6-time All-Star. He's got his lid on. And before we get to the Las Vegas sports where he now resides, have you taken that off since last night in your Roughies winning the Grey Cup, Ray?
Well, I tried not to, but I couldn't sleep with it on, so I took it off, yeah. And put it back on this morning.
Good to see you, Big Ray, number 81. Everybody's excited to see you. Well, listen, the Rough Riders won their 5th Grey Cup. You won their 2nd back in 1989. This is heady stuff they pulled off last night, beating Montreal 25-17.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we, I think the club owed Montreal one based on that last Grey Cup where we played against them. And, it was a great game. And Montreal was a legitimate opponent. They played really well, and it was good to see the Riders sneak it out in the end.
Did you watch all the playoff games, by the way, or as much as you could? I asked because the games were fantastic here in the playoffs. Yeah. You want close games. You wanted to go down to the end. And I always say this time of year, the CFL always shines.
Yeah, I watched most of them. I watched most of the whole season, actually. And I thought that about the whole season. I remember earlier in the season, I thought the games were great, high scoring and going down to the wire and stuff. So I thought it was a pretty good year.
I just want to point out for the benefit of the viewers, I can't imagine anybody wouldn't know you, but Ray, were you raised in Edmonton?
I was born in Edmonton and lived there until I think grade 6, moved to Vancouver
And so I call Vancouver my hometown, but Edmonton is where I was born and raised as a little fella.
That's what I thought. I think he was a Vancouver guy, but played college at the University of Utah, and you've been in Vegas for quite some time. How many years now?
I think we're going on 29. So we moved here the day after I retired in 96 and been here ever since. So been a long time here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I can't wait to get into the changes you've seen over that time in sports in Vegas. But just back to that Grey Cup for a second. What runs through your mind, given your history with the club, when you watch them in the Grey Cup and then see them win?
The memories from our Grey Cup, the memories from the Grey Cup that I participated in and the things that happened in the city, from that victory and the parties and celebrations and all that stuff. That's what, keeps running through my head when I'm watching some other team play. And and that being that Saskatchewan was the team this year, all those memories were a little stronger.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't doubt it. Well,
you know what the guys like when you see the game and then you hear the interviews at the end of the game. What are you feeling? What's it like? Not only have you been there, but you've been there in that city doing it with that team, and so it was pretty nice. I enjoyed it.
It's unbelievably special. I mean, you see the people partying on Albert Street, which is the Vegas Strip of Regina. It's a lot of the same faces from when you won, which is kind of special too, right?
Yeah, well, same faces, just a little older, a little grayer. But exactly. That's kind of what I mean. It made my memories more clearer because I knew what was going to happen today. I knew what was going to happen last night. After the game for those guys, and they're about to experience it, or they're experiencing it right now. What it's like to win the cup and be in Regina, and so it was a thrill to watch it.
Well, as you know, they're now heroes forever. And that coach, before we switch this around to Vegas sports, Corey Mace, I'm saying that he could become the most popular Roughriders coach of all time. They love him, and then you win. But I'm saying right now, I think it was your coach, John Gregory, in 1989. And for the U.S. viewers, he gained fame from coaching Kurt Warner, as you know, at Iowa Barnstormers in the indoor league. It's not easy to coach there. And not easy to win there. And these guys did.
Yeah. Well, it's, let's face it, it's not easy to coach anywhere. And it's not easy to win anywhere. So, any city, though, that has a team that they care about, that is successful and is able to pull off a championship, you're going to be living good for a while. And everyone's going to remember some of those things. But then, it's a new season next year and it could all fall apart. So, and Gregory's a great example of that. We struggled after that, and he ended up getting fired, and there was a lot of bad blood and I don't know, some hard feelings about all that. And so it's fleeting. And that's one of the things that makes it, so special for an athlete is that, it doesn't last. It does last. But you still have to go on with the next season and the high times are hard to repeat. So you hang on to the memories of the ones that you had. And you cherish them.
As they say, nobody leaves unscathed. Although I feel like you kind of did. You were like 14 years to 96, won all your war. I'm out. I don't feel like you left particularly scathed.
Well, I ran out of town before I got scathed. But I've been plenty scathed since, Rod. I've had 2 hip replacements and 2 shoulder replacements, so I got lots of scathes on me. But I had a nice career, and people there were very nice to me, and I was treated just fabulously all the time, and I appreciated it. And now that I think about it, I think you're right. I got out of there luckily. A lot of people, Paul McCallum had a truckload of shit dumped on his yard, and other players had some other struggles, and my career was very fulfilling to me, and so I appreciate the time I spent there.
Well, should be fulfilling to you. And you treated people well, and your career is the snapshot of a Hall of Famer. But to be honest, I'm kind of dying. You're very eloquent today and more laid back than ever. I don't know if you're hungover or tired or what. You're just a little more subdued than normal.
I'm fighting off a cold, Roddy, quite frankly.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So, but I got a little hangover going too, so it's a double dose of struggle.
Well, I appreciate you playing hurt, which you don't last as long as you did without doing that a time or two. But I think everybody would love to know your take on the rule changes proposed. That's not proposed. They've been announced. It's not going over very well.
Until yesterday, I didn't know anything about what the changes were. I'd heard some of the grumbling about there was going to be some rule changes and nobody liked them, but I didn't know what they were. And some people who were here at my house last night watching the Grey Cup, they'd mentioned what a couple of them were, and I didn't like the sounds of any of them. So the three that I heard about was shrinking the end zone, moving the goalposts, and taking away the rouge. And if those are true, I think those are terrible changes to make. But that being said, I'm just a guy sitting on a couch in Vegas, and so whoever's running the league, maybe they got some good reasons for doing what they do. But our game is very unique, and the three things that I just mentioned, if there are three of those rule changes, those are the reasons why our game is unique. So I didn't like the sounds of what I was hearing.
Well, they said...
Was I accurate with those three?
The only one is they're not taking away the rouge, they're modifying it. And the rouge that counted last night... Well, they're changing... There's like 4 or 5 different categories that qualify for the rouge, and they're eliminating 3 of them. Like if you punt right through the end zone right now, or a kickoff or something, that's a rouge, but it won't be under the new. And also, if a missed field goal will not count as a single point, if I have that right, because they don't like rewarding failure. That's always been a thing. You've heard that for years. People didn't like that.
Yeah, but it's not rewarding failure. It's a game of field position, and you could make the same case about a team in the NHL getting half a point for or getting 1 point for losing in overtime. I mean, are you rewarding failure? You get close enough to kick a field goal or to attempt a legitimate attempt at a field goal, and the other team doesn't want to run it out. You ought to get something for it. I don't see it as rewarding failure, but like I said, I'm just another fat ass on a couch in Vegas.
Well, listen, you and I could do about it for hours, because I heard the stories from the alumni luncheon and all the alumni, which you've been at, I'm sure, over the years on the Friday. The alumni's mad they weren't consulted on the changes. I'm like, guys, the coaches are mad. Everybody, that's not going to happen, guys. And you could see how the alumni guys would say, your guys would say that, right?
Well, first of all, they're not my guys, but, we've all got our own personal opinions about things, and it doesn't bother me that I wasn't consulted. Shit. I don't think I should be consulted, but, I think those are pretty significant rule changes to a game that is already very, sort of under assault a little bit from, another sport that looks just like it. And what separates those two sports is some of our unique rules, all of which I think just add to the flavor of our game as opposed to the NFL game. And so I don't like the sounds of any of those changes, and I wish they weren't doing them.
And they are your guys.
If they choose to consult me, I'll let them know.
I know, I'm sure you just did. But by the way, by name, Rashovich, Bresciani, Treflin, you know the drill. Those are your guys. Don't
you mentioned the CFL Alumni Association wasn't consulted. Well, we're a bunch of ex-players, and I'm not actively involved in that association, or but we also don't speak collectively. So even though you mentioned some teammates of mine that I have high regard for, we're all individuals, and I don't need to be consulted, but I don't like what I'm hearing. I don't like those changes at all.
I got you.
And the more I think about it, the more pissy I'm going to get about it.
Well, I'm just teasing you, by the way. It's so much fun. I don't know. I want to get to these Raiders and Golden Knights, but Brent in Wellington, Florida, who's originally from the Queen City, writes in. He says, what's the single most thing you miss about being in Saskatchewan?
Pizza.
Ooh.
No question. Pizza. No question. I tell everybody all the time. I tell everybody down here all the time about pizza in Saskatchewan and Alberta, and just how different it is than, your average Domino's down here. And they just look at me all funny, but I don't care. And so every time I go back to Western Canada, I mean, that's the first meal is baked lasagna and a Supremo somewhere. And that's the first thing that comes to mind.
There you go, Brent. By the way, Sea Lightning writes in and says, impeach the commissioner and give the job to Ray Elgaard.
Ray Elgaard doesn't want it. But thanks anyway.
Yeah. Mike in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Trifons, legendary.
Yep.
Yeah, they all are.
Absolutely.
They're all great. They're all great.
They all are. Like, I didn't mention a company, but they all tasted the same to me, and they were all just the same. And so Trifons, Western, Sparkies or whatever it's called. I mean, they're all just fabulous.
It is Sparkies on Gordon Road. Yes.
Yeah.
JJ writes in and says, love this segment. Great to see you, Ray. Oh, yeah,
Thank
Ray.
you.
They're all excited to have you. I knew this would be a very popular segment. Hey, if you don't mind, because I will get out of here and be regretted I didn't ask you. Monday Night Football tonight, the Cowboys at the Raiders. What'll the scene be? What do you expect?
Well, I expect, first of all, the Raiders to lose, because that seems to be what they do quite a bit, although I'm not, actively cheering for it. But, the games here and NFL games in general, again, it's kind of the different flavor in this league than it is in Canada. And so I don't go to many NFL games anymore. And, the Raiders aren't doing well, but, I'm sure they're trying hard, and hopefully they'll get it changed around. And, I'm sure the people in this town who are Raider fans, this is a game they probably highlighted. So it's, big rivalry and big historical, match up against a team like Dallas. And so, but, as far as it being meaningful, the Raiders are long out of the playoffs, I think, already. And so does it matter? Well, it does to the fans, I guess. So
for those that
I expect traffic jams, and I expect lots of drinking and poor behavior down on the strip. And we also have the F1 coming here next weekend, so it's going to be a busy weekend, busy week here in Vegas.
We'll make sure they fix all those manhole covers. Rob in Las Vegas watching, he says, try Yukon Pizza on East Charleston in Vegas, Ray. He's originally from Winnipeg. So again, Yukon Pizza. Yeah. And as we wind this up, you were an original, if I'm correct, Vegas Golden Knights season ticket holder, but I haven't kept up with you. Are you still, or how are you on the hockey team?
Well, I still like watching the hockey games, and I go to them every once in a while, but I'm no longer a season ticket holder. I had them for, I think, 6 years and enjoyed them. But, it kind of runs its course a little bit. There's a lot of games, and to be a season ticket holder, you're going down there quite often. And, I like the quiet life. All the games are on TV here, so I don't miss anything by not going. But I wanted to support the team, and I wanted to support hockey here in Vegas. And so I was glad that I had the season tickets, and, I used them quite often and enjoyed going to games and being part of the club.
So if that was 6 years, that would have included their Stanley Cup win?
Yeah. I was a season ticket holder then, although like a dumbass, I didn't go to the Game 5. I sold them to some guy, and I didn't realize when I sold them to him that Game 5 could have been the Cup winning game, and it was. And I was at home watching on TV. I could have got probably 3 times the money I got for them, but I had a lot of fun with the Golden Knights when I was a ticket holder. You got involved with the club. I knew some of the players. I know a bunch of people in the organization. And so it was fun to go to a lot of hockey games here.
Yeah, they got a great thing going on there with the hockey team for sure, and that whole ownership conglomerate. Ryan in upstate New York says, I didn't figure Saskatchewan is a pizza destination. I might have to add it to my foodie and football world tour. Well, you can thank Ray for that, number 81. Brian in Edmonton would like to know, Ray, is that your helmet from the 1989 Grey Cup, the best Grey Cup ever?
Somebody else asked me that last night. I don't know. I've got 2 helmets. I got this one that just sits on a shelf over by the TV, and I got another one that was a presented to me somewhere, and it's under glass. And I don't know which ones are from what games or from what years, but it might be possible.
It's a solid. It might be. Yeah.
It's a solid maybe.
Okay. Ken is watching in Mississauga, mindful of the fact we're down to a little over 2 minutes. He says Ray must have played against the U.S. CFL expansion teams. Oh, yeah, you were right in the middle of it. What was your best? Yeah, here we go. 2 minutes. What was your best road trip?
Oh, best road trip. Shoot, I'm not sure, but you know what, Roddy? The whole exercise of expanding to the U.S. and being on a Canadian team that was now going to travel to some of these cities was really cool. I really enjoyed it when I look back on it, you know. And the cities we have in the CFL in Canada are great, but after a while, you know, how many times can you go to Hamilton, right? So all of a sudden, we're taking trips to Vegas, and we're taking trips to Memphis and Shreveport, Louisiana, and playing in you know, the stadium in Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, it was cool. So I really enjoyed it, and there was also, you know, that flavor of Canada versus the U.S. when you were playing against those teams, and those teams being able to have 100% Americans on their rosters. I mean, there was some ideological stuff on the line in those games that maybe aren't on the line when you play the Stampeders. So it was a fun time, and I'm sure it was probably a consequential time in the CFL. You know, my understanding is that they did that expansion to raise money through expansion fees because the league was struggling financially, and hopefully that helped. And here we are; they're still going, so I'm happy for it all.
I feel like we might be on the cusp of doing it again, and I fully and wholeheartedly support it.
I heard you lobbying for it.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to. They just don't want to admit it, and whatever. I don't want to get any more trouble. Yeah.
Are they consulting you? Well, because God damn it, they should be.
We'll talk. Great job as always, Ray. Great seeing you, buddy. Let's do it again. All right. The great Ray Elgaard, Hall of Famer extraordinaire. He really is. And a Hall of Fame guy. Be right back after this.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on this Monday. Coming in hot to a brand new week. Everybody loved Ray Elgaard. Everybody always loves Ray Elgaard. I love Ray Elgaard. And yes, they're saying we got to get him on again soon. I agree. AJ writes in and says, Ray Elgaard is great. Should have him on again. He's just so dang goofy. But I've done many, many, many events with him in primarily Arizona, but also Saskatchewan. We did those rider parties there. And just a great interview. Wound up all the comments in time. We need more Ray Elgaards in this world. Time for your sports update, brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The NFL's Thanksgiving Day games will deliver 3 cannot-miss halftime performances by acclaimed artists Post Malone, Jack White, and Lil Jon. By the way, this is sent directly from NFL PR. If I read it the way it sounds like the stadium announcer would read it. On Thursday, November 27th, electrifying musician and Detroit native Jack White will perform during the Detroit Lions Thanksgiving halftime show, powered by Verizon, when the Lions take on the Green Bay Packers at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Global superstar Post Malone will take the stage at halftime of the Cowboys game versus the Kansas City Chiefs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. And Lil Jon will perform live at the Baltimore Ravens game against the Cincinnati Bengals at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Man, we barely got into any of the NFL games talk today, but that's okay. We had a lot of hockey talk. That's what I want. And I really wanted to recap the Grey Cup game with Ray Elgaard and also obviously talk about those rule changes. That we covered it all. So we got the next couple months to talk about the NFL and college, which, by the way, is coming up. And they're telling me they really like the hockey talk in America. And Canada, as we know, can't get enough of it. So I like where we're going. New York police have released surveillance images of a man sought in the shooting of New York Jets cornerback and special teams standout Chris Boyd. Boyd remained in critical but stable condition today, a day after he was shot in Midtown Manhattan. A motive for the shooting remains under investigation, and authorities say it's not clear if Boyd was targeted by the shooter. Sad story there. There are 30 teams that can harbor legitimate hopes for the college football playoff after the first 12 weeks of the 2025 regular season. As a reminder for you, the 5 highest-ranked conference champions all earn automatic bids, which means at least one group of 5 team will make the 12-team field. I know that's confusing for anybody who doesn't follow college football. But if you want to find out who those 30 teams are, Yahoo.com's got the best breakdown and easiest to follow. It's taken me, again, I'm dumb. We all know that. I've been told that my whole life. It's taken me 5 years here to really get into it, to really understand the college football landscape. And like anything, I make mountains out of molehills. Not as a lot of dumb people follow college football. A lot of really smart people. Took me a while. And, you know, we talk about Ray there playing 14 seasons, all with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I did 20 seasons, all with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's all that I had. That's all I followed. That was my job. Getting out and doing other things is now my job. It's fun. It's a lot, especially if you weren't historically used to covering them. Hockey was a lot easier to jump right back in with both feet, trust me, because that was my number one. That is your sports update, by the way, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear online or in store. Downtown Moose Jaw. I got to get to the NHL picks because I still think about the banquet I was at in Wolseley last year. Guy is a trucker, and he listens to our podcasts the next day every day. And I said, well, that must suck. Listening a day later, it's like, no, I love it. I love seeing how wrong you are in your picks. It's kind of funny. Yeah, there's not enough time to get into what I was going to say. I will after the break. We'll be right back. Final chance to get your comments in, 902-518-3033, the Western Dodge text line. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on a Monday on the Game Plus television network across Canada and 32 U.S. states, and, of course, as always, across the wonderful state of Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, Great prices and that friendly moose jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back for Overtime, everybody, where we put everything on the table about what we've been talking about. It's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. That place is an amusement park for hockey players, trust me. If you don't want to take my word for it, go check them out yourself. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, fun for the whole family. Office parties, team parties, Christmas parties, birthday parties. They're very big on the birthday parties. They'll put your favorite team's logo right on the cake. How about that? 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Tell Randy and Michelle that the RP show sent you. That would help us out a lot. Carlos writes in, he is in Indianapolis, and he says, what's more impressive? We managed to cover everything we managed to cover, or everything we didn't? We got a lot in during the fastest 2 hours of the day. Right? I mean, we spend more time on some things than others, but I still don't understand how the guys on PTI cram more things in way less time. I don't get it, but that's okay. We got 2 hours here on Game Plus and 1 hour on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network to do that, and we seem to do it quite well. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, as a former owner of a restaurant in Regina, what's the secret ingredient that makes Western Canadian pizza so tasty, Roddy? Well, number one, I stayed out of the kitchen as the owner. More owners should do that. But it's the crust. Like, I would want to say that it's the pizza sauce, but it's not. It's actually the crust. And it's not just because it's thick. There's a certain amount of grease that goes into that. Mine was a thin crust restaurant, but all those legendary restaurants that people refer to are all thick, not deep dish specifically, but it's like a Greek style pizza. It's the crust. And I'm telling you, these guys and gals, it's a science to them. It's an absolute science making pizza. Do you just think it's open up a box of Kraft, mix in some water? No, it's a science. Jeff in Toronto writes in, he says, sorry for joining late. Congrats, Riders. Oh, yeah, we had a lot of talk about the 112th Grey Cup, of course. Mandy's watching in Edmonton. She writes in on the Western Dodge text line, and she says, where the heck is it? She says, RP, are you happy for the Riders? I said, of course. Why wouldn't I be? And then she also writes in and says, where has Moose been? I'm not getting into that multiple times a week. We're not a jukebox where you just come in and ask questions and expect them to be answered. Watch every day for 2 hours. We have people that actually do that. They get the priority. Oh. Thank you, Daryl in Calgary. My buddy Daryl, the Stampeders historian. He has tweeted this, and as soon as I get off the air, Daryl, I will be retweeting it. He says, a great interview of Saskatchewan Roughriders legend and Canadian Football Hall of Fame receiver Ray Elgaard today on the Rod Pedersen Show. Ray was a star on the 89 Grey Cup Champions and watched the Riders win their 5th title on Sunday on TV in his home in Las Vegas. He played 84-96 with a great screenshot. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate you, man. That is the one thing that I do miss about covering Canadian sports is the people, and Daryl is one of those. Because, you know, the guys in Calgary probably shouldn't have liked me too much, yet they've ended up being the nicest guys, the guys in Calgary to me. We had the whitest hot rivalry. Winnipeg's pretty damn nice, too, which they weren't always. And Edmonton has always been nice. I would never dump on Edmonton, but even if I thought about it, I wouldn't, because they've just always been so... They're above it. And I say that in the most respectful possible way. But I do really enjoy being in the press boxes now, where I am here. C. Lightning writes that he says, hey, Rod, did Ray convince you on why he likes the CFL rules? The Rouge was interesting on why he liked. The point that we all need to understand here is there are millions of fans of CFL football and millions of opinions. So the point is we're not all going to agree on one. It's impossible, actually. And I think the one thing here is the fans, unfortunately, don't own the league. And I chuckled when I got a call from Winnipeg on the weekend. Oh, the alumni's mad. Not the Alumni Association, the former players. They're mad that they weren't consulted. Well, they're not going to consult you. Were you mad when your parents did stuff without consulting you when you were a kid? They were never going to consult you. They own the league. You have a commissioner that was hired to run the league, and he's going to do what he sees best. And that's probably the biggest reason why I support the guy. I don't want to fight with anybody anymore, let alone the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. If this is what you think is best, Stu, go do it, man. And you got our support here, and I want to see the U.S. expansion. But anyways, there's so many things here that I didn't really... Oh, the NHL picks. What are we, a minute and a half? Edmonton at Buffalo tonight. I'll take the Oilers. Carolina at Boston tonight. I'll take the Bruins. LA Kings at Washington tonight. I'll take the Kings. As I said earlier, they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Actually did a little research for once. Vancouver at Florida. Definitely the Cats are pulling this one out tonight. I can't wait to see that. Montreal at Columbus. Oh, my. Ole, ole, ole. I just remember voting with my heart. Montreal. And Utah at Anaheim. The Ducks are hot. We'll stay with that. Utah, Darren writes in, he says, change is hard and scary for CFL fans. Oh, you noticed. Yeah. So anyways, I think we put it all to bed. We did a great job. And thank you for helping me out, everybody, because without you, there is no us. Please support our sponsors, of course, because that helps us out a great deal. Tomorrow, Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM NHL Radio to talk all things stick and puck. We'll be talking about the Monday Nighter, the Cowboys and the Raiders. And it's been big fun. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and, of course, across Canada on the Game Plus TV network. We'll see you tomorrow.
That.